It's October 1st, 2025, and we are officially in a federal government shutdown. Wonder what that means for yourself, for your family, for the country? Well, luckily we have Dr. Shelly Arsenault here to help us make it make sense. All right, Dr. Arsenault, let's start from the basics, from the top.
Mm-hmm.
When and why does a government shutdown occur?
Well, a government shutdown occurs because we run out of money to fund the government. And so that's where we are right now. The fiscal year for the federal government is October 1st through September 29th, or September 30th, sorry, which is why this is the day. And the two houses of Congress could not agree on a bill. And so there's nothing to send to the president. And they have decided they could not agree to what's called a continuing resolution, which is where you just continue the funding and you just keep everything at status quo, which is often the way we deal with these sorts of things instead of going to a shutdown. But for a variety of reasons, the two houses could not get a vote on a continuing resolution. So here we are.
What were the major impediments? Do you know what the major disagreements were?
Yeah. So at the base of it for the Democratic Party, well, let's start with the Republicans. So the Republicans want this, what's called a clean CR, which means nothing attached to that continuing resolution, which again means we will just continue to fund things at the level that they are funded. So status quo. And during that time, presumably, you would continue to try to negotiate a budget. The Democrats, on the other hand, are kind of digging in their heels at this point, in large part because of the big, beautiful bill that was passed this summer. It was passed by a very, very, very slim margin. And among the things that it will do is take some of the subsidies away from folks for their health care, the Affordable Care Act, which that would end at the end of this year, some of those cuts, and then cut Medicaid further in 2027. Again, nearly no Democrats voted for that bill in July, and so they feel like this is their chance to kind of get back. And so that's what they're asking for in a continuing resolution would be, okay, let's add these funding, these budget items back in so that at the end of this year, we don't have millions of people whose healthcare costs will probably double is what I'm normally seeing is double. Some people are saying more than that. What I've seen is mostly double.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So if that had passed, let's say the Democratic version had passed, would that then supersede like the big beautiful bill?
Well, it would then it would then give funding back.
Okay.
It would, yeah.
Okay.
So, and that's one of the other problems. I mean, that's sort of where the Democrats, I think, have dug in their heels also is there have been so many cuts.
Mm-hmm.
So one argument there is, well, we can't really trust you to do this on down the line, because the Republican argument is, well, we will just keep negotiating, and eventually we'll come to an agreement. I think the Democrats are saying that's not likely. So.
Oh, okay. So could it, let's talk about how this could end, or what are the mechanisms to end this? Like, could this end any day? It's just when they can come to agreement?
Absolutely. It could end as we're speaking. Yeah, it could end in the next hour. It probably will not. We're speaking on Wednesday, the day that it happened.
Yeah.
They're all going home tomorrow because of the Jewish holiday.
Mm-hmm.
The earliest then folks are saying that it could be resolved would be Friday. I'm not optimistic.
And is this is it a majority vote, or what is the standard to pass this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And the Republicans in the House actually did pass something. Again, a very, very, very slim majority. It's at the Senate, in the Senate right now, that they could not. But and again, so whatever the House passes, the Senate then has to be the same bill that then goes, of course, to the president. So
yes,
we're still a good way away, I think, from that.
Wow. Okay. So we might be here for a while. And what exactly happens? What are some of the impacts of a shutdown?
Yeah, the immediate impacts are mostly felt by federal workers, including the troops, who will just not get paid. And that also includes contractors, which there are probably 3 to 4 times as many federal contractors as there are actual federal employees, which we don't know about that, but that's the truth. And those folks will also not be getting paid. Now, apparently, the way the payroll works, they will probably be okay for the next couple of weeks because today would not have been a payday for them. But those will start to hit October 15th is what I had heard.
Okay.
For most folks. At some point, the government will be unshut and they will get back pay.
Okay.
But again, the landlord doesn't take an IOU for the rent check. So that's the big problem. And then for private contractors, it's quite likely they will not get back pay. So for some folks, if you are in TSA or FAA or federal aviation, if you are doing sort of those very, very essential things, you still have to go to work. And you're not paid for that. Some folks in the military, same. There are other, very sort of crucial things that have to get done that folks still have to go to work, and yet they aren't going to get paid until this is over. So those are the folks that'll be hit most clearly, most obviously first. National parks probably shutting down. Smithsonian probably shutting down. So I guess it's fortunate this isn't a really high season for going to, it's not vacation season, which I guess is good for Americans' families. But if it were, these things are going to be shut down. There will probably be a question about what happens for the parks with a shutdown. The last time we had a major shutdown was it was the end of 2018, 2019. And that one was shut down. We were shut down for 35 days. So that was serious. And they left the parks open. So I don't know if you remember this. Some folks might remember this. Joshua Tree in particular, one of our local national parks, was really trashed.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, people vandalized the trees, which are federally protected. They drove ATVs all over. I mean, there's a reason we have parks service, right?
Right.
And that's to keep people from doing these things. Petroglyphs in some of the national parks were vandalized and things like that. So, I hate to say it, but I would hope that they actually close them this time. But we shall see.
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions about it.
Wait, so it sounds like there's some employees they're designated as kind of like essential, and they have to keep coming to work, but at least for now without pay.
Yeah.
And then there are other services that are deemed like inessential, like the national parks, where the employees are both not being paid, but they're also not going to work.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So, the estimates are 750 to 800,000 people not going to work.
Okay.
And again, will eventually be paid. Not now. Again, it's on the one hand, it might seem like, well, we'll shut the government down and then we'll save a lot of money because we aren't paying these people. But in fact, it's probably it ends up costing us even more on the other side of a shutdown, in addition to the work not getting done.
Yeah.
People aren't going. So,
yeah, because I would imagine not only, so you're paying, you do have to do back pay, and then there's, fixing all the messes that were created during.
Right. One of the most interesting ones I heard for this shutdown, all of the agencies are supposed to have a contingency plan about, okay, what are we going to do if the shutdown happens? So Bureau of Labor Statistics, which has been kind of in the news and a little bit controversial recently, Friday is supposed to be a jobs report day. That will not happen. And out of 2,000 employees, their plan was to have the interim director coming into the office. So 1 out of 2,000 people. So,
wow.
So again, there will not be a jobs report for this time. So
yeah. Are those contingency plans, do they change all the time, or is that pretty set?
My impression is that they change so that every, that and certainly with a new administration.
Yeah,
and,
okay.
and there were some complaints by the Office of Management and Budget that all agencies had not submitted plans,
Yeah.
their contingency plans of what they were going to do.
Okay.
So, you know, for the average person, you won't feel much of this for now.
Oh, okay.
Right? Social Security checks will still continue to be cut, for example.
Well, mail. I'm trying to think of things that most people access.
Right, and
Social Security, mail will be delivered.
Mail will be delivered.
TSA, like the planes are still flying.
They are. On the other hand, typically, and especially as shutdowns go on for longer and longer, people who are coming to work every day and not getting paid for it get a little salty and they stop coming. And so then you start getting people calling in sick and things like that. So the expectation is that those things will slow down. TSA, going through your checkpoint, folks are probably going to be grumpier than usual, that sort of thing, right? So you can expect all that.
Things like federal loans, like student, I'm thinking about the other things that people may feel. Those are still
no, absolutely. And what ends up happening is those not being particularly essential.
Right.
So even in Social Security, the checks will come, but if you needed to go in and get a new Social Security card, for example, the staff will be significantly reduced. So anything like that paperwork wise, you're going to just see a slowdown.
Yeah.
So if I hope nobody needs a passport anytime soon.
Oof.
That sort of thing will be impacted because there aren't people going to work to process that paperwork.
Yeah. Well, you said the last shutdown, 2018, 2019, that was 35 days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Has there been a record of
That's
the
it.
longest? Oh, that was the record, 35 days.
That's
okay.
It's certainly in modern times, and I don't know,
right.
things being much different 100 years ago.
Yes,
but
in modern,
that was the longest.
And how was that broken? Do you remember?
From what I've heard, basically it was the FAA. So your the aviation folks who sort of just said, okay, we're done. We're not, we're tired of this, and sort of really put pressure on the two parties, because that's always the problem, is the two parties can't get together, and that they did get together, and they finally came to some resolution. So
is there a trickle-down impact on state government functions, or it would all be indirect?
It would probably mostly be indirect. The federal government funds a lot of what states do, and so that could be impacted, definitely. So again, things like we were saying, the paperwork to get grants together, process that, get checks out to folks, those things could be impacted. Again, not probably, maybe not in the short term that the states would feel it, but they could eventually feel it. Definitely.
I have heard some commentators basically tell the Democratic Party, like, just stick to your guns, don't cave here. So I guess one of the questions I have is there any world in which this benefits anybody?
Oh, that's a great question. I suppose that if you are one of these, I think it's something like 20 million people that is on Affordable Care Act, that is, you're getting subsidies for your health care for your family. If ultimately it is resolved because the Republicans are willing to make some concessions there, then I think that long term those folks probably are going to think of it as a win. Otherwise, it's not good. In previous, even in the 35 days, there were 5 budgets, sort of allotments that had been approved. There are 12 that need to be signed and approved. So you can do them, you do them individually. None of them have been approved this time. 0 of 12. So, to me, that all bodes poorly for an easy resolution. This is one of my bigger concerns. Again, I teach public administration classes, so I have students that work for the federal government and seeing several of them say, okay, day one, here I am on furlough. I think a bigger concern for those folks is talk from Office of Management and Budget and the White House. They're the same, but different folks, that potentially this wouldn't just be furloughs, but it would be flat out reduction in force is what they call it, basically laying people off, and using this as a mechanism to continue the work of whittling down the size of the federal government.
Right.
I mean, what is a little interesting and counterintuitive about that is just last week, General Services Administration just had to call back several hundred folks that they had fired in the spring because they realized they actually need people to work there to get the work done. So again, it's a little at cross purposes. Clearly, a lot of it is sort of political posturing and political theater, but at the expense of a lot of people who work for the federal government and or rely on services of the federal government.
Yeah. Do you know how many Democrats would need to vote with the Republicans on their bill to pass?
Yeah. So in the House, it's just a simple majority. And part of the sticking point with the Senate is they need 60 at this point, because it's about overriding the filibuster and the odd rules of the Senate.
Yeah.
And so they would need to pull quite a number of those folks at this point.
Okay.
Because of the closeness. Both houses are incredibly close. That the big, beautiful bill passed by 4 in the House, and a tiebreaker by the vice president so again, this has probably been brewing. I mean, it has been brewing, and it's not surprised that we're here now.
What would need to happen to end the shutdown?
Okay, so to end the shutdown, you would really have to have both houses pass the same piece of legislation. And the House of Representatives did pass one of those clean continuing resolutions. So no additional money for healthcare or anything like that. But in the Senate, they could not pass that. So the Democrats and the Republicans had sort of competing bills. The Democrats had these addendums to increase, to put back the money for healthcare. The Republicans had a clean CR, as we call it. They need 60 votes in the Senate. And so they need a supermajority. And that just was not going to happen. Right now, the Senate is 53 Republicans, 47 Democrats. So the Republicans need to pull over, 7 folks to get to that 60. And as of now, that's not looking, even if they can pull over a couple, that's not good enough. So.
Yeah. We were am I remembering correctly? We were on the brink of a shutdown a few months ago.
Yeah, back in March. And, a clean continuing resolution was the resolution of that one. And Chuck Schumer in particular took a lot of heat for what some Democrats felt was capitulating.
Yeah.
And so I think that again, that's one more of those things that's playing into what's happening right now.
Yeah.
Is the political gamesmanship of it. He has to say, okay, we're line in the sand and all that.
Yeah. And since March, since Schumer convinced some Democrats to vote for the clean bill, the clean version, we now have the big, beautiful bill. So the stakes feel higher, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that that's really an important point, is that in March, we didn't have the big, beautiful bill. So you did not have those cuts to healthcare and other things, National Public Radio, again, today is the first day that they won't be funded and things like that. So you didn't have that bill.
Yeah. That
had not passed. So to give something to Schumer, it wasn't nearly as impactful, I guess, as it is now. Mm-hmm. So again, the way that they feel like this is leverage to get at least something back again in terms of healthcare for folks.
Yeah. I think right now, most folks are not feeling an immediate impact. if this did go on unresolved for a month longer, what are some of the consequences we might see?
Yeah. Well, average people would feel all kinds of things. And one thing actually, FEMA, for example. So if everyone from FEMA goes home and there is a catastrophe, those essential folks might come out and would be able to come out and deal with the immediate impact. But for example, checks that people might look for, FEMA is typically there giving immediate financial relief to folks. They wouldn't be there. In the short term, Women, Infants, and Children program is supposed to be potentially impacted, kind of running out of money again in like the next 2 weeks. So again, that's lots of moms and babies. And then SNAP benefits, which is the food stamp program, that what I've heard is maybe funding through November, mid-November. So again, if this goes on for a month or more, many people will start to feel it very much. And then there's that cascading effect where you have things like food banks where the demand goes up because the public funding has been eliminated for food. So there will just be cascading effects as longer and longer as this goes on, and it'll impact more and more folks.
Before we let you go, I'd love to talk more about your background. How did you end up here teaching at Cal State Fullerton?
Well, first of all, I am a proud Titan. I got my undergraduate degree here 1,000 years ago in political science, and I went to graduate school and got my master's and PhD in political science at Michigan State. And at the time, started studying, I was studying welfare programs and policies, and that's what I like. I like the how do things work, or in this case, not work. So I do public administration is mostly what I teach, and so that's government and what they do or don't do, and they can't do anything if they have no money. So
for those who want to learn more from you, what are the classes you teach?
So I have I do the undergraduate and graduate level, sort of a foundations introduction to public administration classes. I also do a lot of some policy classes, education policy. I do a nonprofit organizations class. I do California politics and government as well. So
that's where they can find you. Great. Public administration, for folks who don't know what that is, who would be a good, who might want to think about majoring in public administration?
Yeah, I mean, mostly what we have is folks that work for government. At Cal State Fullerton, in both our graduate and even our undergraduate programs, it's folks who want to work primarily for local government. Cities, we've got lots of city employees. We have folks here at Cal State Fullerton take our classes because they are working for a government agency, right? They're just working for the state as opposed to local government. Nonprofit folks also benefit often from our programs and our classes. It's all public service. So folks that want to go out and do good things and help their communities, they find a home in public administration.
Wonderful. What is a public administration degree, and who might want to major in public administration or get a master's in public administration? Like that? Is that better? Yeah. Okay.
And then you're just going to splice all these things.
Yeah.
How magical.
Yeah.
Maybe one more on what inspired you, or how did you get into what you do now?
Yeah.
Why?
Why did you get into?
Yeah, why weren't you a philosophy major or yeah.
Man, that's a great question.
But let me ask.
Okay.
Why did you choose to go into public administration in particular?
Again, I was a political science major, and I really liked the politics part when I was a student, but I had started out as a liberal studies major, and I was going to thought I'd be an elementary school teacher. And the more I learned about education and education policy, I realized that it was actually a lot more political. And so then that sort of sparked my interest. So I've always been interested in the sort of doing public work stuff through political science.
Yeah. So great. All right. Dr. Arsenault, thank you so much for joining us and telling us all about what causes shutdowns and what we might expect going forward.
Thank you, and sorry to have to be here, but
I know.
Right?
Yeah. All right. Yay. Okay.